All right. Actually, let me confirm that this is working. Okay, looks like it is. Coming up right there. Let's see, make sure the audio's working. All right. All right, there it is. I hear it. And actually, let's go ahead and just pause that so it's not burning up my network. And so basically tonight, I decided I was going to essentially rewrite my Pimp Audio Studio app. It's basically done for the Macintosh side. I guess they don't call it that anymore, the Apple side, Swift MLX. And I got to thinking about it earlier, and I decided, I'm going to go ahead and port this so that it'll run on Linux, Windows, and Apple all at the same time. And so trying to do development across 3 different platforms like that is kind of a task. And so basically what I did, let me move this off to this side. Basically what I did, is that going to work? No, it's kind of dark in here. I keep it with my red lights on. Adjust my camera there. And basically what I did was set up my Pi.dev harness to be able to control my Windows install and my MacBook Pro all from my Linux machine. And took a little bit to get it going. Not too much. But I did get it going. And it's pretty damn cool. And so right now I'm running Grok. High effort across the board here. And essentially, let me see if I can turn my phone on. Okay, so there, that works. Let me shift back over here. And so what I got right there, that Pi mesh is talking to the Windows machine, or actually I think it just got a reply back, but here's my Mac terminal. Here's my Windows laptop. And so essentially the way I've got it set up is Grok on my main computer, and I'm doing Windows RDP to my Linux machine. Yeah, that guy right there. So this is just like a remote desktop into my Windows machine, or into my Linux machine. It dual boots, but right now I've got it in Linux, and I needed a way to develop on Windows at the same time. And so I ended up having Grok set up the Pi harness to basically ride over SSH. I've got keyless or a passwordless SSH set up in like a triangle, so each machine can SSH to the other machines with no password. And so on top of that, Grok wrote an extension, basically sends messages and receives messages to the other workstations. Like you can see, he's still over here working. And it looks like he just got something back right there. And so I've got Grok rewriting my app to run across all the 3 operating systems. And it's totally smooth. I mean, it's amazing, right? And on my Windows machine, I went ahead and fired up Pi in a administrative PowerShell so that he could install the apps. And, I'm doing Rust and Atari and all the things. And rather than me going over there and having to manually install all this crap, I just fired up my admin shell. See, he sent that across. He just got it. There, the Mac got his. And somebody replied back. That was the Mac replying back. He's a lot. That's the fastest one out of all of them. And so basically, my Grok, I've got him 4.5 on high effort. I've got 4.5 on low effort and 4.5 on high effort because he was having some issues with the PowerShell and trying to do bash and a couple of other things on low effort. So I went ahead and kicked it up to high so he'd hopefully know a little bit better what to do working in Windows. And it's totally smooth. I mean, so I got one repo I'm working out of, which is that you can see it right there, git repo or yeah, my home directory, developer, git repos, Pimp Audio Studio WLM, which is Windows, Linux, Mac. And so he keeps them all in sync. You know, if he needs to make a change or something, he'll push it up to the repo and tell the other one to grab it or whatever the case is. But he's like totally driving both of these two machines. So I'm doing development on 3 different operating system platforms all at the same time. And I'm holding my iPhone, so it's a little shaky, but it is what it is. That is just the coolest thing in the dang world. And I'm on my own local network here, you know, so everything's private to the house. And it's working like a champ. I mean, it's insane. You see, he's doing his, you know, passed his test, doing all the things that he needs to do to answer this guy's questions to confirm what he's doing is working on these other hardware platforms. Same thing on the Mac here. If we go back over here, that was the message you got. That was Linux to my M4 Max MacBook Pro. And he said, pull, reply with, do this, gave him a little prompt. You're an M4 agent acting on this request. If it asks you to do something, pull to investigate, you know, reply once. Because he looped the very first time when we were getting it working. And then that was what he told him to do. And then he did it, then passed. And then he replied back saying, here's the result. It passed. So we just finished up whatever. M2 is still in progress, right? And so he's kind of complaining because I'm waiting for my Apple developer ID to go through. And that was some of the initial stuff that we were going to do was, you know, right, to sign everything on the Apple side so that it'll install properly and, you know, yada, yada, yada. But I don't have it yet. I'm waiting on that DUNS number right there. And once I get it, then I'll finish my developer application. And then I'll be able to sign the apps and whatnot so that the Guardian on your Apple machine won't complain about an unknown developer. And so I told him to, let me turn this off. I told him to just to keep going and we'll worry about that when I get my Apple developers set up completely or whatever. And yeah, that's just wild. I mean, he's just like driving all these guys. I'll let them know we're streaming. Damn it, if I could type driving all 3. platforms like this. Excellent job. I'm trying to be nice to the AI so that way, hopefully, when they take over the world, they'll remember that I was nice to them. Okay, so I'll keep driving M4 over the mesh. I'll only ping you. Something needs a human call mainly. What is anything happening over here? Okay, appreciate it. Have fun on the stream. I'll keep driving. Okay, any M2 exit except reject. Ready. Wait, let me read further up. Okay, so we closed M0, we closed M1. M2 is in progress. Dev signing only. 3 platforms are green. Okay. So what is left with M2? Then other. Spin on. Okay. Okay. And so we've got like this giant plan that I had uh I have another app that I wrote that basically it's called Pimp Agent, and essentially what it does is where's it at right here? And so this guy right here, it's like a harness. It's private. I haven't released it or anything yet, but basically I can get multiple frontier models in a room together. And so I was using Opus 5, I was using GPT 5.6 and Grok 4.5. I had all 3 of them in a room together. And essentially, like if we look, yeah, let me scroll up a little bit here. So if we look at this guy right here, I was talking with GPT 5.6, and I basically told him, okay, I have a mission for you. First, make sure that the pimp agent is using the newest models. Told him the models I wanted, and so he set that up. And then everybody was on max effort, and then told him that, look, basically what I want to do here is I created a new folder called Audio Studio WL, which was Windows and Linux when I first started it, and told them that basically I wanted to create a new app. I didn't want to port the existing one. I want to leave that one just the way it is. You can use it for reference, but don't change it. And I want to do the exact same thing, but I want to be able to do it on a Linux box and a Windows box. And get everybody in a room, point them to the repo, let them go through the repo, read the docs for the existing repo, all of the things so they understand what it is and how it works and all of the things. And then come up with the way to implement what I want to do. And then so he basically got them all in the room. They had a conversation. There were several rounds. They went back and forth, back and forth. You know, you can do this, you can do that. No, this is the better way. That's the better way. They looked at options, Qt, QML, or QLM, Tari, React, Rust, C++. They discussed all kind of different approaches to do it. And then finally came to a consensus. And then GPT output the results of what that consensus was. And then at that point, I had him go ahead and just, I renamed the repo, and then started talking to GPT about, you know, why Tari and React versus Qt and QML. And so it explained to me some of the differences, put a couple of mermaids up, and, you know, because their logic is that it's harder to develop in Qt and QML, and they were unsure about the skill set of the developers and all of that nonsense. And then I finally told GPT, I'm like, look, the AI is going to write all of this, right? This is not going to be me writing this. So y'all have the skills to do all of this. So that's not a valid reason. If Qt is a better option, we need to reconsider it. And so it went back, gave some, you know, comparisons and all the things. And then I did a little bit of digging on that one right there is what made it for me, right? So I started on X. I was asking Grok about the compliance stuff that you have to do when you're running Qt and some of their linked libraries and all of this stuff. And it just started going off about there's just a bunch of things you got to do to be compliant with their licensing. And so that kind of sealed their fate, you know? So then I ended up telling GPT, look, okay, after looking at some of the G or the LGPL obligations and stuff, I think I'm okay with, we can do the Tari to React TypeScript stuff. And again, I was just trying to get clarification because of the way I read it. You know, it was more of the experience of the developer team. And if we got new developers and whatnot, that, you know, they might not know it and all this kind of stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't the defining criteria, you know, that this is why we're not going to do it because of that. And then after looking into the licensing components and stuff, I was like, okay, you know, that's fine. I don't want to deal with any of that. So we'll just stick to all the MIT licensed stuff. And so that just stuck. You know, we didn't have to change any documents because they'd already decided on that, you know. And so then at that point, I was like, yeah, right there. I said, okay, that makes sense. I was just wondering about the choice, you know, why they decided that. Because I looked, you know, at some of the interfaces for Qt, and it looks good. It's solid, and it would look consistent across all three platforms, you know. So it's kind of agnostic, platform agnostic. So it's not going to change if you're on a Linux or a Windows or a Mac. The interface would stay exactly the same. Whereas Tari there'll be some slight differences with the way I understand it. And then so basically I just told him that's fine. Okay, I was just trying to make sure I understood the reasoning behind their decisions on that. And then I asked him, you know, how hard would it be to make this new version actually support macOS 2, right? So Linux Windows, Mac OS? Just a question. And then it was like, okay, short answer is very possible because it already runs on Mac OS X anyway, as it is with my other version. And went through some, more stuff here, gave me a couple more mermaids and all. And then talked, about the fact that A Step already supports MLX and, most of the stuff is already there and yada, yada, yada. And it's just how it all tied in. And then I was like, basically told it, you know, we were saying it was going to be hard to reverse if we decide to go that route and all that. And I was like, look, I mean, sitting here right now thinking about it, if we're going to go through all the effort of writing a whole nother app, basically for Windows and Linux, in addition to the one that I already have for the Mac, it just seems like it's a bigger maintenance window. I get technical debt because I got to deal with two different applications and keeping them up to date and making sure they work and updating them and all those things. When if I'm going to go through the effort to do Windows and Linux, hell, I might as well go ahead and put in Apple support. And then that way it's just already there. And then I've got one repository I'm maintaining to support all three. And it's just a cleaner setup, and so GPT was like, yeah, I agree with your reasoning. If the end goal is basically one Pimp's audio studio product, designing the new app, adding OS X into it is the logical approach. And then that way I can not necessarily let my Swift MLX version die, but I can clean it up and get it like App Store only type of a thing, or, basically it's almost there. There's some things in there I have to pull out. I know that they're not going to let me just leech dang videos off of YouTube and run training LoRa's and all that stuff on it. But we've made a point to keep all the Python out. It's all MLX and Swift. The only Python piece in there is for the external training, remote training jobs. So Python drives that, but there's no calls out from the actual app itself, right? So it's all segregated off. And App Store requires that. They don't like you doing, or at least that's my understanding. Again, I've never published an app to the App Store yet, so I don't know for 100%, but that's what, the AIs told me. And so I've kept it clean from that perspective. Everything is Swift and MLX rather than Python or anything else. I mean, that's like if you look at the actual repo and we go look at right there, you see it's like 96.1% Swift. With the Python is the remote job controller, and the other is the MDs and just some like text basically stuff. And so he gave me another mermaid as to kind of how the structure was going to work, saying that essentially the front end will remain the same, and then the engine is going to drive depending upon what is going on. So if we're on Windows, it's going to be Windows Linux CUDA workers, Apple Silicon MLX on Mac OS, and then for MPS side of it, we'll do PyTorch with MPS. And I don't know why we would do one or the other when we could just do the one. I don't know. And then the remote worker side. And so he updated the code a little bit, put in the fact that we're going to do Mac OS in there as well. And he started going into the Intel Macs and all that. And I'm like, look, dude, this is the 21st century. I am not worried about no damn Apple machine running an Intel processor. If you've still got an Intel processor in your Apple computer, you need to upgrade. So we're only going to support Apple Silicon. End of story. And so that made it a lot easier, so we don't have to deal with the multiple hardware platforms on Apple. And so we locked all that into the docs and redid his little front end. So the front end's going to be one Atari, React, Rust application that's going to drive all the rest of them depending upon what you're installing, and keep the existing app running like it is. And yeah, and again, he's talking about, because I told him that AI is going to be doing all the coding and everything, and he's all like, you got a warning, we need your help and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, trust me. I mean, I wrote that other app with me and you and Grok and Claude and all of us in there together doing it. I understand how the process works from that standpoint. I know I need to be involved to listen and make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do. I understand. And then I renamed the repo, and then that's it. So I checked out with this guy because I didn't really need him anymore. This back over here, expand that. Let's do that update. And yeah, and then I basically went and made the working directory on or checked out the repo into my working area on Linux machine here, and had Grok right here build the agent. So I'm just using the Grok build right here. Told him what I was wanting to do. He was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll set you up." And then I had to get my laptop out of the closet because I don't run Windows. Windows is, I mean, honestly, it just sucks, man. Every time I start touching Windows, I just start getting mad. Like I pulled the laptop out of the closet there and trying to get the SSH server set up and trying to get the keys generated and trying to just everything was like a struggle. And I'm just like, damn, dude. I mean, this is like a 2-second thing on a Linux box or on a Mac, which is what I run 99% of the time. I'm an Apple. I've always been an Apple. I love their OS. Solid, the hardware solid, expensive, but I mean, they last forever. I got a damn uh, MacBook Pro 13, I think it is, that is from like 2012 in my backpack under my bed over there. That sucker still works. I mean, I couldn't get it to die. I still had to just buy another one. I still got it, still sitting under there because it's like, it's not supported anymore. No new OS, no updates, no nothing. But that sucker still runs like a champ. I'm just like, dang, these things last forever. And so that's why I'm an Apple. But I needed to get a Linux setup going because I'm leaving a lot on the table. And so that's what I did. And basically, I got my PC down here that dual boots Windows and Linux. And I use the Windows for gaming, which I haven't been doing any gaming for a while now. But I still want it there just in case I decide to do some gaming. And then I got a separate drive that's my Ubuntu install, which is what we're on right here. And rather than pulling up the terminal or pulling up to the desktop here, I just remote desktop into it because it's the same thing. And that way I keep both of my Mac screens going. And it works like a champ. So what are we talking about here? Oh, that was another conversation I had with the agent that actually built or helped build the other version. And here, let me keep him going here. Okay, checkpoint for the stream. Green on all 3 machines. Okay, full M2 dev suite, import, revoke, download, HTTP range model, hostile, recovery, active worker, or activate worker, plus 25 lib tests, documented, still needs you later. Okay, I'll keep polishing unless you want to pause on M2 and talk M3 planning. If you're happy. Damn it. Let me get him working. I don't like it when they're sitting there idle. Okay, so M2 is good at a good place. Happy to pause. Okay. Uh, worth blocking before the Apple. So that's the Apple developer stuff. We can circle back to M3. Okay, for the downloading the models, the runtime. Okay, M3 work streams, order that makes sense. Okay, some post integrations. Okay. Okay. MLX first only. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. What the hell did I call that thing? 3070 Ti with 8 GB on it. And there is actually an update for the drivers that dropped to get as well. We pull. Oh, he doesn't have access to that. Um. Okay, hold on. Let me, because I can do this on this screen. Actually, I forgot. Let me turn off my damn camera, man. I don't like my camera on sitting there eyeballing me like that. Y'all don't need to see my ugly mug. Uh, okay, and so I'm gonna go. I need to get him my download token. And how can I do this? As well, if we uh start pulling models from Hugging Face, I do have a download token when needed. Okay, let's see what he's going to do here. Okay, so he's updating some docs. What he's got going on. But yeah, this is pretty amazing. I mean, just the fact that I got this guy driving all three of these machines is like excelente. You know, I'm super impressed with that. That's why I like the Pi. You can get that from it's just Pi dot dev. Right there, it works on Windows, it works on Mac, it works on Linux. It runs on pretty much everything. And again, it's just like totally stripped down. You know, I think they said that the default prompt is like, 200 words or something like that. So, I mean, again, it's just like a real stripped down, minimal right there, minimal system prompt, full extensibility. So you can literally make it do anything you want to do with all of the extensions and the plugins and stuff that you can add to it after the fact, like the packages right there. Uh, just whatever, I mean, again, and whatever's not there, you can have one of your agents write it. There's like sub agents. I mean, there's everything. I mean, it does like literally everything. And then again, if there's not one already built for it, talk to whatever AI you're running and it'll build it for you. I mean, that's what I did. I know there's one in here. It's called, oh man, I can't remember the name of it. There's one that's in here already that will allow the two different Pi sessions to talk to each other. And I was watching Indie Dev Dan, I think is the dude's uh name. Is how yeah, Indie Dev Dan. And he's got an excellent YouTube channel set up. Here, let's just do it like this. It'll be the easier way to do it. So that's still running, looking good. Okay, and then so if we just come over here and we do a search for Indie Dev Dan, if you're not watching this guy's videos, you're definitely missing out on some good stuff because he talks about all the solid stuff. I mean, CMux, he's got a setup with CMux where he'll run a command. Okay, so we got stuff running now. That'll fire CMux up with the multiple windows, each launching their own Pi agent, and then the orchestrator or the architect is driving the other sessions and stuff. And so he's got the reviewer, he's got the writer, he's got the documenter, and so it's like this whole like giant team workflow thing, and they all kind of coordinate with each other. And he'll send something off to the manager guy, and then the manager hands it off to the workers, and then when the worker gets done, he hands it back to the reviewer, and the reviewer will review it and make changes and stuff. Right here, that's the video right there. CMux solve multi-agent orchestration, and it's excellent. And then, I mean, all this dude's videos, I don't know him personally, but just watching and listening to what he shows you, this dude would be an engineer you'd want on your team for sure. And it shows in all of the stuff that he does and the way that he does it. And so if you're not following this guy, you're definitely missing out, because you should watch some of this cat's videos, subscribe to his channel so you get the latest updates. I've been meaning to watch this one. I saw it came up yesterday, but I haven't had a chance. I mean, I just assume because he's asking, is Anthropic stealing our data? And I know they are. So I don't really need to pay too much attention because I know they're definitely taking everything you run through them. They all are. I mean, it'd be stupid of them not to. But anyway, so Pi, Indie Dev Dan are definitely good things. I did stop that, didn't I? Yes. Okay, let's see what my okay. M3 skeleton green on all three. Okay, and so uh hmm. So how can I do this? I need get this key over copy that. Well, basically SSH to Linux. Then I have got local. No, where in the hell is my Hugging Face repo? Go. Oh no, it's in cache. That's right. There she blows. Think. Hell's that long file right there? Okay. Oh, do I already have a token in there? Oh, I do. Okay, so I guess I don't need to copy that over. Okay. Uh, okay, let's keep going then as well. Uh, Linux and M4 have Hugging Face already set up, and so no new token /login Windows. That is not the case. Just a FYI. You can say, he likes to just run through one step. We're on the M3 and he'll run through 0 and then stop, and then run through M3 1 and stop, M3 2 and stop. And I have to keep reminding it, look, you don't have to stop. You just go and then keep going until you're either done or you have something for me. That usually gets it. So he'll keep running until it gets to a point where it's done. And then and so for those that don't know, let's go open this right here. And so this is get back on my window so I can watch what's happening. Actually, let's get out of that directory, clear that screen so I flip up and expose my keys. Okay, put something in the buffer in case I accidentally paste. All right, that's good. Okay, and so this is my first app that is the Swift MLX only. And so here is, let me make sure my volume's not blasting. Everybody's in the bed.
Woke up this morning with the rain coming down. Another empty bottle, another lonesome town. Packed up a suitcase, she walked out the door. You left me with these blues and I can't take no more. Dark blues riding on the midnight train. Dark blues calling out my name.
But you can see it's a pretty damn good quality. And this was another adapter I used.
This morning with the rain coming down.
Kind of tell the difference.
Another lonesome town.
And again, getting the adapters and the training process down
and she
was pretty heavy. And so, I mean, you can see I've got like all these LoRa adapters and stuff that, you know, trying to get the process, get that recipe down right. And then that one was from a long time ago.
With the rain coming down, another empty bottle, another lonesome town.
And so, again, because you can train locally on your Apple device, or you can train remotely via run pods. Basically, you can rent, you know, whatever 5090 or a 4090 or a 4500 or a 6000 or a A100 or a B200 or whatever kind of graphics card you want to actually do some LoRa training. And it only takes, depending upon your data set, you know, 11 to maybe 15 gigs or so worth of data set material. And so you don't really need the big GPUs, but you could get it if you want. And so here's the app. And again, it's not packaged. I just run it out of Xcode because, again, I'm waiting on my Apple developer IDs to go through, and then we'll package this puppy all up and everything. And basically, here's what you see, right? And so everything's adjustable. You can adjust your lyrics windows. You can adjust your prompt windows. You can collapse the side windows, clear it all out. You've got an analyzer tool, so you can kind of watch what's going on as it's doing its diffusion and all the things that it does. Your adapters, these are all the different adapters that I've created throughout this whole process. You can have multiple adapters, so as long as it's the same type of adapter for the same type of model, because you can train against just the standard models that Hugging Face offers, which are these three right here: A-Step, 1.5 Turbo, Full, and SFT, which are the basically 5 gig models. And they're decent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the smaller models. They're pretty good. But they also have the XL models, which are 20 gigs each. And again, they have a turbo, which is going to be fast, basically not such great quality. And then the base model, that's the one you normally want to try to run your LoRa's against. And then the SFT, which is the whatever specialized fine tune or supervised fine tune, which is the one I always use. And then those are required for any of the models. So there's only that one. So and then these are for the cover song stuff, which I've got a little cover song section here. And it's not like a one-to-one, so you're not going to drop in 50 Cent in the club and have it come out as a country version or anything like that, but it'll stylize off of what you put in there and create its own version. Um, and then the captioner basically will scan this is for creating your data sets. So if you're gonna train a LoRa, this right here will scan the song and come up with basically what it is, and then the transcriber scans the song and pulls the lyrics out of the song. And these are 20 gigs each, but I went ahead and because there's a audio to text side and then there's a text to audio side that we didn't need. And so I basically cut them in half, and because I only do audio to text on both of them, and then quantized it down to 4 bits. And those are pushed up on my Hugging Face if someone would want them for some reason. And then Stable Audio does actually the 3.0 is supposed to do pretty good music these days. I haven't tried it personally, but this is for sound effects. So if you want footsteps on a wooden floor, you can type that in, and the system is smart enough to determine whether you're doing music, sound effects, or just some ambient noise. I want rain falling on a dark summer night, type of stuff. And it'll automatically pick what what you're doing based upon what your prompt is. And then memory release, so we can like cut the memory out when we're not using it. And then if you wanted to download another custom model, which you really can't do, so technically I kind of need to take that out of there. And then the token, so that you can download faster, which doesn't save in here. It actually puts it into the keychain. It's not stored in the app. And then the intelligence side, the 2 local models, the Llama 3 bill and the 8 bill, are for creating the lyrics and enhancing the prompt. As well, you can change that to one of the Frontier models. If you have a subscription, it'll automatically check and use it, or you can plug your own API key in if you do it like that. And so if I wanted GPT to write my lyrics for me, which is all it does, this is only for lyrics. It doesn't do prompt enhancements. But if I want a GPT or Grok to write the lyrics for me, I could essentially just set it, OpenAI, and then I could give it, like I've got a preset set right here. So we'll do this guy, and then so there's my prompt, and then these are the lyrics for it. So if I take the lyrics out, hit the enhance on the prompt button, which that's a pretty good prompt. That's those right there. That's what I do, all of them in the same prompt, just so I keep the same length, the same seed, the same settings, and so I can A/B test everything. And then now that I have selected GPT or OpenAI, so OpenAI is going to look at how long, look at what the prompt is, and then write lyrics relating to that. And then at that point, you would select your adapter, and like number 3 is pretty good, but I got to turn it way down. I overtrained it a little bit, so we'll just put it on about 2 right there. And again, I got everybody over here is all doing things. Let me take a peek right here. Okay, yeah. So again, I've got my Mac and my Windows machine over here churning. Okay, we'll come back to all that. And then what is my memory? Oh, he's over here compiling and stuff. So I don't want to run a generation just because I've got oh, well, it just finished. Okay, so he was actually making music. I see. Generate pass 48 kilohertz stereo for 8 seconds. RMS is 0.0. And here, let me pull up my iPhone again. Come back over here. Yeah, and see, and so he's still going. So I don't want to try to do a generate here because yeah, you see my memory usage right there. It's climbing. So if I was to kick this off, we'd be fighting for resources, and I don't want to do that. My eyeball's itching. And then my Windows machine is still sitting over here. He's churning away, doing whatever it's doing. And so that's, oh wait, there it goes. It just looked across the screen. And again, they're all coordinating with this guy. So he's getting messages coming back in. Yeah, see, that's awesome. So that way I don't have to develop everything on Linux and then drop it onto my Mac and then develop on the Mac and then go back to Linux and fix all the stuff that it needs to be fixed because we're on the Mac and broke the Linux side and the Windows side and all the different sides. I just have it all run at the same time. He's over here. Says it was a partial finish. Skeleton passed. Oh, he skipped. He doesn't have any checkouts going. The Linux box is still over here. Or the Windows, damn it, the Apple. He finished. And so I think what he did was told the Windows machine not to download the model because I don't have a Hugging Face key installed on the Windows machine. So I need to tell him that it's okay if he downloads it. It'll just be a little bit slower. And let me turn that back off. And not configured, need login or copy from Linux. Oh, so he's copying it over. Okay. Yeah. I like it. He's just going to SSH it over. When you could have just downloaded. I mean, it's only like 5 gigs, you know. Uh, okay. So we just let him carry on. Uh, and yeah, so I don't want to do a generate right now while this is running, but and then so that's the generate side. And if I were to run it, it would basically populate all this and it would show you the steps from the bottom up, tell you all the info about, you know, what the lyrics were, what the prompt was, what model we're running, what the seed was, the time, all the guidance, and all of the stuff. Logs it all in there. Again, you can add more than one adapter. So like in the only example I've got was the first couple that I did. So I've got like a quality style, which is just the music side. and then I would add another adapter and come down here and get the voice for it. And so there are two different adapters for the generation, and that was what this one
Woke up
was
this
derived from.
morning
That's the
with
setup.
the rain come.
And I don't know why I did that, but I just did it when I was at the very beginning, when I was trying to get all this stuff figured out. We've got the editor, which there's nothing in here because could open it, but we can go to the history of everything that's been done, and I clear it out every so often. And so if I wanted to go back and try to re-edit one, I could basically select it, reopen it in the generator. So if I wanted to change lyrics or anything or edit it, and then it pops it back into the editor, and you can listen to it from here.
Oh, this morning with the rain coming down. Another empty bottle, lonesome town.
And here it's overdriven. And so like if we go back to the history on this and we select it again, I can't look at it unless I open up another one, and then I can compare the two. And so if we look at is that even in here? But basically the particular adapter I used, it's kind of overtrained, so it's really strong. And I had it set to like 0.3, and that's why it sounds like that. 0.2 seems to be the sweet spot whenever I make the real strong adapters. And if we look at the adapter section here, it tells you, so that was this one, and it's ranked 256, which is pretty high. And so I overpowered it with my strength indicator by default. Normally, if you're doing just a 64 or 32, you wanted it 1, maybe 1.5, 1.6, something along those lines. But when it's 256 or 128, you need to tone it down a little bit. And so I had it a little too high, so it was sounding kind of freaky right there. You merge the adapters. I actually haven't tried that yet. I need to do that actually with those two right there and see how that works out. Because I don't know if it would actually work or not. And then what does the open do? And so where does that put all the stuff at? In my documents. Right there. And again, it does JSONs for everything. That's how we keep track of all of the stuff. And that's old. This is the new stuff. So let's take this one right here, I think. We'll open it up in the editor. And then again, you can play it from here.
Let's go. I stay. When the room goes dark, I learn my shape. Without the mask, without the cape.
And so I ended up having, because my editor before was just kind of simple, and then I had them basically set it up for like a mastering kind of a setup. Or before, you could normalize it, maybe add some reverb, work to EQ, a couple of simple things. And then I ended up going back through and I'm like, look, I don't want to turn it into a full digital audio workstation here, but I ended up putting these in, just do it like this. I ended up putting these on my iPhone and without a full master on them. So I essentially had them build that's probably my favorite one right there. Had them build in like a mastering tool. We can just basically run it through to get essentially the best sound that we can get out of
There's a fire that
what's
doesn't
there.
smoke, doesn't beg,
And
doesn't choke.
so it sounds
It sits low
better
beneath the rib.
when I'm driving down the
And
road
it
in my truck.
answers only if you've earned the right to feel the heat without needing to compete. I keep it cold, so I where the silence dares. Cold fire, slow and deep, keeps me waking when I sleep.
And so, yeah. And so I need to test this a little bit more thoroughly to see kind of, I need to A/B it and see kind of what differences, if any, we're going to get. You can do in painting and repainting, which is basically like that one. If there's a piece right there that's not, then we can come back here and give it a prompt and be like, this is messed up, and do that. And it'll try to redo that one little piece. And again, I haven't really used it too much. So, and then data sets. This is where you build all the data sets. And this is basically, again, the tool where if you're trying to do a certain style of music and you have the music, you can create a data set from the music and then train a LoRa against the data set and then write music that pipes through that LoRa and outputs similar to what your data set has. And then I set it up where you can train from local files. So if they're on your computer, you can just point to them and it'll package them up. It does stemming and the whole shabam. So it'll split not on these because I added some new stuff for this particular set. But if we look back at some of these other ones right here, it breaks it out into instrument side, vocals, and then it goes through and gets the metadata. And see, this is what it was coming out as, the captioning data. And then I added those, that captioning, ACE captioning model and the transcriber. And then this is what we get with that. We can see the difference of how the captions look. See how much more meaty that is right there. And then the lyrics. And again, because I didn't stem these, so this is just the full, song of that I was testing with. And then you got options for which one you want to use, the lightweight native one or the ACE step one. And then automatic, it'll just pick for you if you want. But basically you go and enrich the data set, and then it'll go do its thing, 20, 30, 40 minutes, depending upon how much data you've got. And then when it's done, you have to approve everything, make sure it looks right. It's like this one's got a warning because it didn't get a key on it, I think is what it was. And if we scroll down, yeah, you see the key is missing right there. And so that's the warning, but it's not crucial. So you can just save it and it'll basically package it up as a data set. And then you can hit that open in training right there, and it will take you to the training side, which is the test that we were just looking at. And then you can do your local LoRa or Loker or remote GPU. All right, and these are local on your machine. And then this is remote. And so if we go and then we hit train LoRa, brings you into the training tool where you kind of set up, what we're going to call the adapter. Are we doing, what kind of adapter are we doing? Narrow or wide basically determines how much data is getting stuffed into the adapter. Narrow is nice and easy. It's still going to take a while, depending upon, again, how much data you're trying to train off of and the quality of the narrow. And then wide, you're limited with MLX. It's only can handle so much. So you see how it's saying right now we can't do a full right? And so we got to kind of turn it down a little bit, and in order to get it to work, right? Full LoRa access, uh, across 12 faces or 12 local XL layers. I'm blind and I can't see that. Is a large shape QV, or the last 8 is a safer starting point. I think it would still let us do it. But if we turn everything up too high, it's going to complain. But if I was to do what it said and turn it down like that, then, the error goes away. And again, I think it just depends on what kind of machine you've got, how much memory and all that stuff. Because, it's going to take a while. And then if we just close that, and then if we go do our remote GPU, and again, you get the same options as far as what type of an adapter you want to do, narrow or wide. Are we doing just a full mix? Are we doing just instruments? Are we doing vocals? What model we're going to train against? How many epochs we're going to do? How often are we saving? What our seed is? Learning rates, all the different things. And then you can see how they update depending upon what we're doing. And then basically you just click on create the account. It'll take you over to Run Pods. You sign up, create your account, and when you're done, you'll be able to get an API key from wherever it's at in here. There's a way to get your API key, and then you would basically plug that in right here. And again, it's saved in the keychain, not the app. And then that gives you the ability to control Run Pods from the app. And then the SSH key gets pulled, or you put that in there so that you can SSH into the machine, so that the software can SSH into the machine keyless or passwordless. And then the console takes you to the console if you've already got an account. Your region, so like I'm in America, and I don't like using any of the other regions because they're slow for me, so I keep it on North America. And then you can refresh the pods. It'll go out and get the current list of all the different GPUs that are available in North America right now. And then I can pick which one I want. And then it'll auto make sure we've got the most current template for that. And if I wanted to, you can do your own templates and all that kind of crap too. But this doesn't do anything. I need to turn that off or remove it because it isn't needed on Run Pods. The container disk is your OS drive. The volume is where all the work actually happens. And then I can hit the launch Run Pod right here, and it uses the API key to spin up the server. And then in just a couple of seconds, it'll populate down here under pods and show you what it is, and then give you the option to copy commands or click buttons, and actually it'll run the commands. And essentially, because you got to build the environment, which takes a while, and then you got to get the data. First you got to get the data up there and the runner, and then build the environment, and then you can start the training. And then the training completes, it'll pull your adapters and all your stuff back down to the local machine, and then you terminate the pod, and it'll automatically import the adapter for you, which again, that's that last one I did. Right, technically it's this one. There was an issue, so I had to remove some of them and fix things and then re-add them, but I did them out of order. So it was 1, 2, and 3. Go to sleep over there. You can bring in other adapters. So if you go through Hugging Face and find an adapter that you like, you can just, paste it right there and fetch it, or choose it from a file locally. And yeah, and it's all MCP controlled. So like literally anything you can do in the app, your agent can do via MCP, which is pretty neat. And I'm not going to worry about that right now. And yeah, and so you can like let Grok or whoever do it via MCP. They can generate the music. They can attach the LoRa adapters. They can run the remote pods. They can do all of it just from external. You can do it yourself in there yourself, or you can have the AI drive for you too if you want. Either way, choice is yours. And it's a pretty decent little app. I mean, it does some pretty good stuff there. But again, I'm leaving Windows and the Linux crew out of the equation with that one, which is why I'm working on this one. So it's basically going to be the same thing, except it's going to be Tari and Rust and new platforms are going to be supported across the board there. So pretty cool. All right, we don't need this. If you don't use run pods, this stuff is excellent. Super cheap compared to buying one. I mean, $15,000 for that card right there, and you can rent it for $2 an hour. I like it. That card right there is probably 40, 60 grand. You can rent it for almost $6 an hour. I like it. Same thing with that one, 40,000 bucks. You can rent it for, $450 an hour. 25,000 for that. You can rent it for $3 an hour. Hell, that guy right there is $5 grand these days. You can rent it for $1 an hour. That's what I've got in my Linux workstation right here. You can rent that for 74 cents an hour. Hell, I paid, what did I pay for mine? 3,400 bucks for my RTX Pro 4500 Blackwell with 32 gigs in it. And, yeah, Run Pods is great. Same thing with, there's a bunch of them out there. This is the one I like because it's all kind of included. Not too pricey. I mean, you get, any of these machines, like I'm going to get 140 gigs worth of RAM and 16 CPUs with that guy, or, 251 gigs of RAM with 24 cores. And then you can build your, it's like we do. He doesn't, where's my 6,000 right here? These are the ones I normally rent, but I can get up to 8 of these puppies at one time. And then you specify your, the volume. So like if I'm going to run Kimmy K or something like that, I can come up here and just crank the, like give me 5 or whatever, 1,000, 2T worth of data, which of course they're going to charge you, right? So 28 cents an hour for that amount of disk. But normally, for normal people, like 200 gigs would be just fine. It costs you like 3 cents an hour. 5 cents if you stop it. You get charged if it's offline or not. If you have the pod, you're paying for it. Network storage, you can put stuff up there, it'll stay, and they charge you whatever they charge you, not too much. 7 cents a gigabyte per month for under a terabyte worth of data. So like if you got a big model, and you don't want to re-download that sucker every time, you can go ahead and get you 2 terabytes for 5 cents per gig per month. So I think it came out to be, whatever, like $14 or something for the month to store some large amounts of data, which is pretty good. We don't need that. We probably don't need that. And let's go back to here, see what my agents want me to review some stuff. And so that's really all I wanted to do. I just wanted to jump on real quick because I was feeling all like I accomplished something with my mesh AI sessions running here, where my one Linux I session driving my Apple and my Windows machine and the Linux machine all at the same time. But I'm going to listen to some of the stuff that is generated, and it's like 3:30 in the morning, and I think I'm going to hit the bed. I got to get up at like 9, go do some stuff. And so I appreciate anybody who happens to come by and see this. And if you got questions or comments, feel free to drop them down in the comment section down there. And, like and subscribe on the videos if you think it was worth it. And wait, can I do that? Yeah. And hope everybody's doing good. And yeah, thanks for coming by. All right.